40 days of fasting had dissolved Jesus' boundary between the material and non-material worlds. Holding the massive energy required to be human was exhausting. He needed to let go of the brutal demands of physicality to recharge, and the quantum desert was the best place to do that. The field of possibilities stretched limitlessly, fractals of energy shimmering like heat and dust particles over a desert floor. In the quantum field, there isn't any separation between flesh and spirit. Jesus was filled with the realities of a billion trillion improbable beings in various states of becoming and unraveling. When he finally managed to silence those other realities and center, Jesus found himself at the nexus of a Schrödinger collapse, where perceptions entangle in the creative fabric of infinite singular awareness. Staring into the black eyes of another being, an ancient companion of reality shifters like him, Jesus thought, even in the fundamental energy of creation, I can't get a moment alone. But he wasn't surprised to see Satan either. Actually, he was a little relieved. Satan typically manifested as a resonant frequency, a distortion rippling through the field's harmonic balance, meant to realign the multitude of self-aware entities formed in universal consciousness. Jesus and Satan understood each other as polarities of the fundamental harmonic that inspired them both into being, materially and ethereally. Satan, Jesus greeted his ancient counterpart, it's good to see you. Satan replied, why would you say something like that? Good to see you. You know it doesn't work that way. I see you. That is enough. You've spent too much time with the humans. Jesus stood silently, used to Satan's taunts, and after a moment, Satan sighed and asked, okay, want to tell me why I'm here? Jesus hesitated for a moment, kicking some sand quanta around the desert field he was creating. You're here to remind me that we all come from the same source. You're not wrong about my time with the humans. They're unrelenting in their arrogance and infuriating in their embrace of duality. It's disconcerting. They keep trying to turn me into a super being with special powers. And they despise you, brother. I don't care what they think about me. They're barely sentient. You'd have a better chance teaching the dolphins and the whales or the cephalopods. The octopi are the most intelligent species on Earth. Why are you wasting your time with these humans? Satan placed his hands on Jesus' shoulder and gazed at him intently. You are a super being with special powers. You can perceive the quantum field, the probability field of every being you encounter, and you can manipulate it, he reminded Jesus. You are harmonized with the universal field. I am harmonized with the field, Satan continued. The octopuses, well, I don't even know what to think about them anymore. They're simply on another level. But humans, they're nowhere near grasping how this all operates. That's why they worship you. They believe it's all about you. And maybe it is. Have you considered that? Satan felt proud of that last remark and allowed it to sink in for a second. Can humans create matter from the immaterial the way you made loaves and fish a couple of weeks ago? Go ahead, make some bread from the field. I'll prepare the wine, we can break bread together, then you can go back and rule the humans and everyone will be, oh, what's that word you like so much? Happy? The suggestion shimmered in the quantum foam, drenched in probability, just waiting to materialize. Jesus felt the field's readiness to obey him. Every atom waiting to lock into the form of a delicious, hot, fresh loaf of bread. All he had to do was say yes. Hunger was an illusion in the field, of course, so the temptation for Jesus wasn't self-sustenance, but agency. The thrill of collapsing waveforms to serve himself and Satan. Jesus smiled and then laughed a bit as he said to Satan, "Ha, you almost got me, you old devil, but consciousness sustains us beyond material reality. The quantum field nourishes us eternally. Materiality dissolves. The flesh dies. I'll pass on the parlor trick and stay focused on cosmic consciousness." Satan let out a wry little laugh. Okay, man, you do you. I think it's fun to eat and drink. He then created a loaf of fresh Roman sourdough and a flask of Bordeaux, offering Jesus a slice and a cup. Very funny, Jesus replied, crossing his arms. All right, listen to me, Satan said, dunking his bread into his cup of wine and taking a bite. These humans want to worship you because they aren't anywhere near ready to know the truth. So why not let them worship you? Satan conjured a new scene, the quantum field happily obeying its observers. Before he could object, Jesus found himself with Satan atop Jerusalem's temple, appearing holographic in the vibrating strings fundamental to creation. Below, worshippers moved about, entangled photons unaware of their divine lineage and interconnection. Cast yourself into their probability field, Satan enticed. Let their collective consciousness bear you up, making you a king. Prove your entanglement with the field so they can never doubt your supremacy. Then rule them all. It's for their own good. You said you were frustrated with their unwillingness to learn from you. I think they're incapable. So stop teaching and rule. Satan's temptation slithered through space-time like a snake in a garden. But Jesus recognized the idea as a request to weaponize non-locality so that they could either command an army of slaves or just toy with the humans for kicks the way Satan enjoyed a bit too much. But even as Satan denied human emotions, Jesus understood that emotion, love, fear, greed, hope, everything that humans feel and experience is an inseparable part of creation. Emotions are the divine force, as humans refer to it, that aligns the cold, indifferent creative consciousness with material attitudes and habits, providing the most opportunity for life to flourish for the greatest number of entities. Jesus knew that giving into the temptation of power, fun as it might be to rule the universe, would fracture the sacredness of free will built into the creative consciousness. Jesus sensed the fragile beauty of human potential. Faith uncoerced. Love unchoreographed. Power demands humility, Jesus countered. Individuals need to discover their own entanglement with each other through the field. The prime consciousness isn't a lab for ego's experiments, especially yours and mine, but mostly not for yours. Satan said, all I hear from you is blah-blah blah blah. Ego is where the fun happens. Why become human if you don't want to take ego for all it's worth? I think you're doing it wrong, Satan argued. He then amplified his resonance and projected a new vision, not merely worshippers, but every nation on earth far into a possible human future, declaring Jesus their sole and eternal sovereign, a vision of a discordant fractal in the multi-space-time realities of a creative consciousness so unfathomable that merely considering its existence broke humans, causing them to fill the earth with all manner of war, poverty, cruelty, and injustice. You could eliminate all their misery with a single thought, Satan teased. Take them out of their pain and suffering and make all these standing waves bow to your master frequency. But Jesus recognized the seduction of the illusion of duality, of good, evil, pain, suffering, and even relief. And he knew it was a lie that one polarity, a Satan or a Jesus, could claim the entire quantum field of creative consciousness. Jesus knew better. Princes and paupers, war and peace, they're all transient harmonics in the quantum field's endless creation song. To worship or exalt any single vibration was to deafen oneself to the whole, and it would ultimately lead humans to the insatiable power nightmare that Satan conjured up. Humans, Satan snorted, they don't want a king, but they always want a king. So be their king. Jesus said, only the field itself deserves recognition. His voice collapsing Satan's false hierarchies back into harmonic unity. They found themselves in the ancient Judean desert. Why do you keep picking the desert? Satan asked, exasperated. Jesus smirked, already refocusing his energy on human form. Satan disintegrated into the background radiation of the conscious universe. The temptation of power now quelled, Jesus began the long walk back to Jerusalem and the uncertain future awaiting him. Amen. A question to consider is, with what or whom are you conversing in the quantum desert? Just think about that for a second. We'll stay together in the room here today because there's just